Second hour of the Elias Macko Show. We're going to begin with a very important interview. Now, if you will recall, when Bill 96 became law, English speakers were promised it wouldn't affect healthcare. And do you remember the day? Boy, I remember this because I took a photo of it. I got the receipts for this. Remember the Quebec government took out full-page ads in all of the daily newspapers and on La Presse, the tablet, and in the Gazette. And it was sort of like, let's correct the record. Everything that you hear that Bill 96 is going to take away your healthcare rights, that's not true. They went with full-page ads to assure people. Well, now we keep finding stories that say that doesn't seem to be the case, especially when it comes to accessing health care. Now, Allison Haynes over the Gazette reporting last week, reporting on Susan Starkey and her 82-year-old husband. He's been struggling with health issues for the last 5 months, and recently Susan called RAMQ over a pharmacy issue, but the person on the other end of the line wasn't listening. The civil servant hanging up on Susan because she wasn't speaking French. Susan Starkey joins us now on the line. Susan, thank you so much for taking the time for us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Can I ask you, because I know, over the weekend we've heard your story of what happened, and we talked about it earlier on in the show. I would love for you to just tell us the moment when it happened, when you get hung up on because you're speaking English. What were the emotions? What was going through your mind when that happened?
Well, I was stunned. I was furious because I'd been on the phone for a few minutes with the fellow who spoke perfect English, and he was speaking English to me, telling me that he didn't have to speak English to me. Mm-hmm. And when I asked him, is there somebody there who could help me in French? He said, go and find somebody yourself. I explained my husband was asleep. I was alone. I couldn't. And I again asked, is there not somebody there who could help me in English? Because I had a question regarding his the food for his feeding tube that the pharmacy couldn't answer, and they gave me a pamphlet in English for the RAMQ, which I called. And when I asked him the second time, he just hung up. And I was furious. I felt like a second-class citizen. I felt that the arrogance of being anonymous on the end of the phone, that he would face no consequences, that he could do as he wished.
Susan, does this feel like it's one employee that's going rogue, or does it feel like it's one employee who's following directives, or does it feel like, it's the law and this is how it, like, what does your gut tell you about your interaction? Was it just wrong person, wrong time, or something that is systemic here?
But I think that Legault has stirred up so much bad feeling towards the English. We're the enemy. He said in the paper the other day that anybody who disagrees with this is an assault on the Quebec nation, and that we're labeled anti-Quebec, which is not what we are. Those of us who are English, who are still here in Quebec, are here because we love it and we love the people. But I feel that he's stirred up such resentment towards the English, and just it's not right. And this isn't the first person that I've come across like this. But I have to say, my husband was in for quadruple bypass and valve replacement, and everything went wrong. And everybody in the hospital couldn't have been nicer. If a French person came in and approached me in French and they realized I was English, they switched immediately, and they made me feel counted, where this person didn't.
So, Susan, the French language ministry has commented on this. Many media outlets are trying to get answers on this. CTV Montreal received an answer from the French language ministry. They confirm that RAMQ has an obligation to serve people like you in English. So now that you have this confirmation, what are your thoughts on that? The French language ministry says, no, this person erred. This was their mistake. What are your thoughts?
I feel it's an attitude. And did he err? He had plenty of opportunity to handle it differently. The thing that was so annoying was that he spoke English like you and I. Uh-huh. If had trouble speaking English. I would have struggled with my French. He would have struggled. We would have managed to find a compromise. But this man had no empathy, no interest in the situation at all.
There is a minister in the Quebec government, in the CAQ government, responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers. Eric Girard is his name. And Susan, I'd love to know from you. Let's say you could have a few moments with the minister who's part of their jobs in the Quebec government is relations with Anglophone Quebecers. What would you say to Eric Girard if you had a few moments and you could share your thoughts on how you were treated by the healthcare system?
I would tell him that I don't think he's been doing a very good job of representing the English. We've been cast aside, and the arrogance of it all is very frustrating.
Susan, have you made further calls to RAMQ? Have things gotten better? Have you received the answers that you needed? No,
I haven't, and I don't want to call RAMQ again because I don't want a repeat of that situation.
Mm-hmm. And even with the French language ministry going on the record saying you have a right to English services, you still don't want to make that call.
I can make it again, but I'm not going to make it happily.
Yeah.
You know, if you get poked in the eye, you don't want to go back for a second poke.
Yeah. Susan, why don't you tell me about you and your husband and being in Quebec? Tell me about your history of being in Quebec. Maybe your love of the province, and that just because I think something that's lost with the francophone side of things. So they kind of forget that Anglophones are Quebecers too. So I'd love your thoughts on that and your connection with this province.
I came to Quebec in 1968, and I fell in love with Montreal, with Quebec, with the Quebecois. I have a difficulty with languages. I've taken many, many courses, and I've also had 2 bad head injuries that have sort of knocked things out. But I have always loved Quebec. Business has taken me away a couple of times, and I've spent a year in Vancouver. I could not wait to get back. I spent time in Ontario. I couldn't wait to get back. There's something special about this province, and you either love it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And I know so many wonderful Quebecois, but I've also met so many that have so much animosity and hatred for the English. It's scary at times.
Susan, I wish you and your husband the best. And I know it might be difficult, but I call RAMQ back, because you deserve the health care that all Quebecers deserve. And I hope you get the answers that you need, and hopefully we can catch up again with a better story to tell.
Yes, that would be great. Well, thank you so much for contacting me. I'm so happy that people have taken note of it, because I felt that everything before was just swept under the carpet, and this has been really nice that it's been brought to the forefront.
Susan, any French media reach out to you?
No.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can try and change that as well. Susan?
No, the only people have been CJAD and CTV.
Yeah. Susan, thanks for your time. You're great. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, you have a good day, and I'm glad you're not in Greece anymore.
Thanks, Susan. That's Susan Starkey, and also making me laugh at the end there. Thanks so much, Susan.